When a country is leading the new world order, it literally has the power and influence to dominate all the political and economic systems of that world. The NWO is the epitome of power. You can literally do anything you want to do. And that's what the United States of America has been doing for the last 80 years. The United States' global dominance and influence is declining. Both the East and the West realize this, and that's why they are both competing, or in this case, struggling, to control the narrative of the New World Order. The East side, which is represented by China and Russia, is competing to become the new status quo and to possibly create a new world order. While the West side, which is America and its NATO allies, is struggling to control and maintain its narrative of the NWO. But before I explain why the East and the West are in a struggle to lead this new world order, I have to explain what the NWO is in the first place. A New World Order is basically a country that is in the process of becoming the richest and most powerful empire in the world. This empire will be the new dominant superpower, and it will also establish a new monetary system that allows it to create its own money and expand its new world order to other countries. The current world order, mostly known as the American New World Order, was formed after World War II when the United States came out on top as the dominant superpower. The American NWO was set out in agreements and treaties that explained how global governance and monetary systems will work. One of these agreements was the Bretton Woods Conference, which established the dollar as the world's leading reserve currency in 1944. All of these agreements and treaties allowed the US to become the badass boss of the entire world. So now that we've explained what the NWO is, let's see how these two sides, known as East and West, are competing, or in this case are struggling, for the narrative of leading this new world order. As we've already seen before, the United States began its official rise to power after World War II, when it solidified itself as the new status quo. This unprecedented level of power gave America the undisputed privilege to expand its empire and its influence on a global scale. One of the perks of leading the New World Order is that you're able to dominate the economy of the entire globe. And since the United States was in control of the NWO, this meant that it could be the judge, jury, and executioner of the world. America was in charge of the narrative, meaning it also had control of the perspective, which gave it the privilege to decide what's right and what's wrong for the world. This undisputed level of power and control also meant that the US could even get to choose whether a democratic, socialist, or communist regime was good or bad for the world. But this undisputed privilege was challenged by another superpower, which was posing a threat to its NWO. This new rival was known as the Soviet Union back in the 20th century. The rivalry between America and the Soviet Union was ignited by a difference in ideology, and it posed a threat to America's democratic New World Order. The Soviet Union was the advocate for a communist regime, while the United States was advocating for a democratic regime. This difference in ideology, mixed with the growing desire to rule the world, started a Cold War and a series of proxy wars between these two superpowers. Two of these proxy wars were the Korean War in the 1950s and the Vietnam War in the 1960s. The United States and the Soviet Union were both in a struggle to lead the new world order of the 20th century. However, this threat to America's NWO didn't last for long because the Soviet Union began to decline in the late 1980s. While the Soviet Union continued to decline, the United States continued to grow and expand its NWO on a global scale. And since America was already in charge of the New World Order, it was easy for it to increase its influence and dominance all over the world. The US was the only remaining undisputed champion of the world, and this meant it could expand its dominance without being opposed or challenged by other countries. In the early 2000s, America solidified its status as the boss of the world. This gave it the unlimited potential to manipulate the news and spread its narrative all across the globe. For example, if the US wanted to invade a country, it could easily make up some delusional lies and demonize that country. Is America can use its mainstream media to promote its propaganda and to justify or validate its reasons for invading another country. This level of dominance also gave the United States the unprecedented power of hypocrisy. The US could easily accuse other countries of committing international crimes and then put sanctions on those countries, while it's left unaccountable for any of its crimes. After realizing all of these things, I'm not really surprised why America wants to keep its narrative and continue ruling the world. I mean, who wouldn't want to rule the world, especially when you get to be the dictator of that world? The US was the leader of the New World Order for the last 80 plus years. But now there's a paradigm shift that's about to change the game. China and Russia realize this, and that's why Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are both advocating for a new world order that will be multipolar instead of a unipolar world that's run by America and its NATO allies. Russia and China have been held back in their world domination ambitions, mostly because America was the status quo. But now they see that America's new world order is coming to an end, and if China and Russia play their cards right, then they can create their own NWO that will justify or validate any of their actions. Whether those actions are good or bad won't matter if they own the narrative. If China and Russia succeed, a paradigm shift will take place, and the old unipolar world, which is under the control of America and NATO, will cease to exist, while a new multipolar world, which will be under the control of Russia, China, and their G20 allies, will come into existence. That's why these two sides are all in a struggle to own the narrative of the new world order.